welcome everyone to Twitter Spaces with Blue Jay. And today our guest is WinApp, and we have the co-founder Fahad here speaking with us for today. And yeah, here to learn a bit more about non-custodial wallets and bring further adoption into crypto through payments and remittances. And yeah, I guess nice to meet you. Thanks for taking up your evening time for Spaces with us. And for the rest of you here, kindly just can retweet to get more of your friends on. Yeah, I guess it's a precious time. It's Fahad's precious time. It would be good if more of you are able to listen in live, and you can ask questions at the end of it. So we'll just get straight to the questions. Fahad, let's get to know you a bit better. How do you get into crypto, and what is WinApp about?
Yeah. Firstly, before anything else, Anthony, thank you so much for hosting us today. I truly appreciate both yourself. We've had the chance to meet a few times. You're truly an exceptional person, and I enjoy every encounter. And I'm truly passionate about everything that Blue Jay is building as well. So a big thank you to you guys for hosting. With that, I would love to start off with introduction about myself and what my co-founder Elias and we did before this. So before Wind, we ran a consumer tech company out of Bangladesh and Nepal for the last 7 years. We grew that from zero to over $200 million of annual revenue or annual GMV. And it got to a significant scale, 9 million users and all of that. We did a bunch of things. And after that, after you go from that kind of a 0 to 1 experience or 0 to whatever experience, you really want to choose your bets or pick your bets, and there is a bit more optionality about what to work on. We chose this problem space specifically out of a lot of other things because we're really passionate about financial freedom and the fact that money is still very restricted all around the world in pockets of spaces, and it's not open to a lot of people as it should be. So I'll start with that, and then I'll slowly come to what Wind is. But the long story short, if you have to take one thing away from today's spaces, it is that what we're building at Wind is going to enable free transfer of money across borders, and it's going to give a lot of people access to services that they didn't have access to ever before. That's the TLDR. And this is very timely because over the past week, if we've just been paying attention to everything that's been happening, you've seen PayPal, one of the biggest financial services in the world, restrict freedom, people's ability to say anything. It's crazy to me that a payments company is restricting people or imposing $2,500 fines upon what people are saying. So for those of us who don't know, PayPal, one of the most popular wallets in the world, said, hey, if you say something that we don't agree with, that our company's policy doesn't agree with, we will not only ban you, but we can also fine you $2,500 straight out of your bank account, if you've connected it. So that kind of restriction or censorship is it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And this kind of a centralized service that truly takes things to an unreasonable level of censorship, I don't think this is the future. I don't want to live in this kind of a dystopian future. And I think a lot of people will view this as dystopian across the world today that I see. And it's not just an isolated incident. Like 2 years ago or 1.5 years ago, I think we saw the Canadian truckers movement, right? And long story short, truckers were saying that, hey, we don't like something that the government is doing or saying. Hey, when has that not happened in the history of the world? And this time, the government basically said, we will block your bank account if you do not agree with us. That level of power is, absolute power corrupts, and this kind of power, when centralized authorities have it, is never a good thing. So long story short, we don't like this. We don't like one single entity having that kind of power over your hard-earned money, my hard-earned money. And so what we want to do is create a non-custodial wallet. Non-custodial or self-custodial means, in short, you have access to the private keys. We do not. I.e., even if we wanted to, we could not be evil. We could not seize your money, even if that was even if that was ever a topic of discussion. No one could simply do it. So that's one big part of what we want to do. And then the second one is large swaths of population across the world do not have access to a lot of valuable assets. So synthetic stocks, let's say you are a very talented market observer, analyst, and you have ideas about what stocks will perform well, what stocks won't. And let's say even beyond stocks, you have ideas about cryptocurrency or other asset classes. This is something that unfortunately you wouldn't have the option to act on this knowledge or this curiosity if you're in a country like Philippines, or if you're in a country like Vietnam or Bangladesh or Pakistan or anything emerging market. You just don't have access to Nasdaq or any of the leading stock exchanges. So this kind of a restriction, it basically it's preventing a lot of people from having equal opportunity. Simply opportunity, nothing else. Then it's a matter of how good your ideas are and how well you can establish them. But the pure access to markets is something we believe in. And so that is also one big part of, okay, can we create equal access to markets? So there's non-custodial, censorship resistance, there's access to markets. And then the third piece of all this is most money transfer solutions today, right? We want to be cheaper and faster than all of them, right? That's the vision. But also, most money transfer solutions today, once money hits your wallet, so let's say person A is sending you money, once it hits your wallet, it is sitting there being unproductive. Now, Anthony and everyone else, like, I'm pretty sure you feel the burn of inflation regardless of wherever you are in the world. Inflation,
Definitely.
yeah, when money is just sitting idly in your wallet, that's a problem. And we think you could be doing something more productive with it. Like I said, even if a lot of people, let's say if you have access to markets and you have better ideas, you can invest in a lot of good opportunities, then sure, cash out that money, put it into some place, that yields you some return, right? However, like I mentioned, large swaths of people around the world don't have that access. And so once they receive the money, they usually just let it, either they cash out and put it under their mattress, or they spend it, or they leave it in their bank account. But it's more or less sitting, just being eroded by inflation. So what we want to do, the final piece of this is your money should work for you while you sleep. And DeFi, which is basically, it has different money Legos, like you can connect APIs, which, takes your money, puts into the most productive place it can go. And that's something we have to research and make sure it's secure. We have to make sure that it's actually yielding the right amount of return. And that's all fine. Like, it has to be safe and it has to actually return a yield, but it's possible. It is possible to take your money, abstract it away, take it to the most productive place it can be at that time, and then generate returns on your behalf, all the while keeping you in control. I'll pause there, but those are the three pillars of what we want to do. We want to keep it non-custodial so that you have the power and you can. So the last piece of this is, we're not the first ones to think of these things, right? There have been wallets who have either done, let's say, hey, deposit your money here, we'll give you crazy returns. Or wallets who've said, hey, we're built on layer 2, literally free transfers. If you're doing it on Polygon, like, gas fees are near zero or negligible, right? So it is cheap. There are also wallets that, I won't beat this point to death, but the combination of these things, that we're not a Celsius where you cannot withdraw money when, shit hits the fan. And sorry for my language, but it does. Even if it does, we're not going to be able to be evil, right? That control is just with the user at all times. So it's self-custodial. That's one of the biggest pillars. It is definitely trying to give you access to markets. It's trying to give you access to asset classes that you did not have previous access to. And lastly, it is trying to make your money more productive, especially in this climate. We think that's going to be a big thing for a lot of people. So I'll pause there, and I'd love to riff off of anything else that comes to your mind, or if you have questions, I'm happy to answer.
My God, yeah, you basically touched on everything already that WinApp is about. Yeah, great to know that it's self-custodial, censorship resistant. You can earn yield straight after you do money transfers, which are instant and also cheap. So that's amazing. And I guess if you don't mind us moving back for a while, like experience in Patio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you built a company where it was generating around 200 million in GMV. So I guess, how has that translated in terms of lessons you have learned there, and how have you put it into WinApp?
Yeah. So 7 years is a long time. I can tell you 3 or 4 things that are really coming into play now. The biggest thing we feel like the biggest thing is that team, right? When we started Patao 7 years ago, it was an idea and it went through a lot of iterations. And there were days where we felt like we didn't have product market fit and that, hey, this thing might not work. Especially because we're in emerging markets. We started in Bangladesh, and it was not until 2 or 3 years of the company that we expanded to Nepal or anywhere. And Bangladesh, an emerging market, doesn't receive the VC capital attention that a lot of other places do. So to persevere in the face of uncertainty, in the face of this simply nothing's happening, inactivity, in those times, you need a reason to believe that, okay, we can actually make something happen. And for us, it was, okay, the founding team, we were confident that we will come across one or two ideas that will actually find product market fit. So, fun fact, worked. We did ride sharing with CNGs or tuk-tuks. Tuk-tuks are not in Singapore, but if you've been to Thailand, like tuk-tuks are big. We've done, there's this event management ticketing platform, completely different. But we tried 6 or 7 ideas before we even found product market fit. So even now, we fully expect that we fully expect that we don't know everything. Like, we have a hypothesis. We've talked to a lot of people, and it seems like there might be a germ of an idea there. But we fully know that the market will humble us, right? When we get to like actual users and when we release, it's very unlikely that we will strike gold at first attempt, right? It's very unlikely. And so the process of iterating and finding something meaningful is a long one, it's an arduous one, and it's one that's made worthwhile or even possible when you have a team that's dedicated and passionate about what they're doing. So I think our biggest lesson from Patao is that, okay, the founding team, the early members, they have to be pirates. They can't, as Steve Jobs famously said, it's better to be a pirate than joining the Navy. We need people like that who are actually drawn to the sea, not because, it's their 9 to 5, but because they actually believe in the mission. So a lot of analogies, all to say that we're trying to build the best possible team so that we can build the best possible product, so that we can solve this problem that we're really passionate about. And that's really the biggest takeaway from and I think Elias would share some of this view. But yeah, would love to reflect that with you. Do you have any other questions? Or
I guess no more questions regarding your founding journey or Pato. But yeah, really glad to hear about the lessons you've learned from there, and I have plenty to learn from you as well. And yeah, I guess it applies the same to Blue Jay, where the team is really strong. They have good experience, prior experience, and really driven to making sure they deliver. So really similar to, I guess, what you were talking about earlier, where the founding team is more important than the initial idea. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I guess let's move on a bit more into the product. So let's say for WinApp, you said earlier we can do instant transfers and remittances. And on the app itself, I can also earn yield. So I guess, yeah, other than those that you've mentioned, what else can I do on the non-custodial wallet app?
Yeah. I think I made a grave error and I brushed over something really. What we wanted to, when we first spoke to a lot of the team members who joined, we talked about a UI that makes it one of the biggest problems that we felt during, let's say, DeFi summer, right? In 2020, when things are so hot, so everything is, there's 8% yield here, 20% yield here, 30% yield there. And so there's so much activity in DeFi markets, I think $3 trillion of market. At that point, we felt, hey, this is cool. It's usually hobbyists or nerds or people who are really willing to take the time to uncover or peel the onion to get to what DeFi actually is, right? It's really not for everyone yet. And so we felt like there's a huge opportunity in onboarding a lot of consumer level users by creating something that's easy to use, easy to understand, delightful, and share some of the characteristics of other apps that they have used or continue to use day to day. So the UI is a big part of what we're trying to build. And so instead of long seed phrases or creating things that you have to write in a piece of paper, and God knows what happens if you forget it. We've seen all of these cases where people have millions of dollars, right? Millions of dollars, and it's the seed phrase of the wallet is written on some piece of paper that they threw away. There was this guy who has a pen drive which has, I don't know, 150 Bitcoin or something, and he can't find the pen drive. So he's theoretically super rich. In practice, he just can't find his keys. So anyway, long story short, we're trying to make it so that you can log in using your Gmail, your email address, any email address. You can basically do a single sign-on authentication and just log in as you would with any other service. So we're trying to abstract the authentication away. We're trying to give you a username so that you can tell your friends, hey, this is not my long wallet address. That's very unintuitive to spell it out or copy paste that. Instead, you could just say, hey, I'm Anthony. Just send me money on Wind, just at Anthony. Fair enough. So there's that, and a few other things that we're trying to make it very consumer friendly, all to serve it, all towards with the goal, I'm fumbling with words, all with the goal to make it more approachable, less intimidating, less for just a group of enthusiasts, and more consumer friendly for a lot of people. So I think if I were to mention features, our whole approach is to make it consumer friendly, and that's something we think is different and worth a shot at onboarding the next whatever number of users to Web3 as well as what we're building it.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, glad that you touched on the seed phrase because it is indeed a pain to remember it or write it down and have it kept somewhere safe. I understand some people who even, let's say, they just put it on their Google Docs or in a file, and somehow it still gets copied out and stolen. Yeah, I think you're right, and you touch on the key point. If I could use my email to just log in and get authenticated, and if I want to send someone money, just by typing the name or the username would be, much more intuitive and much like what we are already using in Web 2. Yeah, other than that, just curious, will we be able to transact with NFTs as well on the app itself?
Yeah, that's a great question. So so let me tie this back to one of the other questions you asked, Anthony. You asked me about lessons, and one of the earliest lessons of Patao is that we need to ship before everything else. You can't put the cart in front of the horse. You have to get some validation before you go all in. And so the first version of the app is very bare bones. It does the three things that I promised. One, it's non-custodial. Two, you can generate yields. Number, even though it's not going to be super high yields at the beginning, it's going to be safe yields. And number three, you can swap and trade, and you can have access to some, trading facilities, even though we don't have synthetic stocks to begin with, right? So we're trying to build the three pillars of what we want to do first, and then we're going to go into everything else because we need some validation. We need to understand whether we're on the right track, and then only do we want to scale. To answer your specific question, no NFTs for now, but NFTs are digital collectibles, but they're also an asset class almost, right? They're basically something that people trade, they have some value, and so we do see ourselves being open to those kinds of assets in the future.
Yeah, I think that really answers the question. Thanks a lot. And I guess touching on what we can already do with the app, you said earning use. I would think those would be via DeFi protocols. Do we have any, I guess, are we able to have a peek into what DeFi protocols we can access directly with the app itself?
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, again, in the first version, in the first version, we're integrating 1inch. 1inch basically reroutes, if you want to do trading, the best rates for you. So let's say you want to switch 100 USDC to, I don't know, Ethereum, right? So it finds the best rates across all dexes and it gives you that, right? So we're going to use that to just do the swap. Other than that, we have a few other synthetic stocks and other things lined up, but we probably I would lean on the side of saying we won't ship them for the first version, simply because we want to have a stable product first. We want to have some customer validation first before we do other DeFi protocol integrations. Down the line, though, there is a DApp browser, a decentralized app browser that we want to create so that it's a bit more easy to access all the good things that the DeFi world has created.
Nice. So mobile first, then that browser later. Nice.
Yeah.
Really sick. Yeah. Do you have any clue as to, okay, I see your account saying launching in T45 days. Does that mean
Yes,
everyone will
yes.
be able to access the app then, or is there like some beta testers?
Oh, absolutely not. I would be more with no. In 45 days, a lot of people who signed up to our wait list will get access. So we've done a cut, and we're going to launch with a few people. So we're going to try to hit our first 100 or maybe a bit more number of users, right? And these are the people who are going to be our bosses for the next, let's say, a month or so. And after launching, we're going to spend a lot of time listening to them, understanding their feedback. And it's worth noting that we're going to start with the Philippines specifically. Okay, so this is worth bearing for everyone listening. The plan is we start with the US to Philippines corridor. This is a corridor, or when I say corridor, it means people who send money from the US to Philippines do so on a regular basis. And the problems that the receiver as well as the sender faces are pretty similar to, or pretty in theory, they pretty much line up with the solutions we're offering. One, the receiver doesn't have access to a lot of the assets, or once the money hits the receiver's account, he doesn't or she doesn't have a lot of options as to what to do with the money, or not a lot of productive options, I should say. So that's one. And number two, Philippines is one of those countries which is really crypto friendly. These guys were the ones playing Axie Infinity. These are the people being early adopters for a lot of the crypto use cases. So we feel like, okay, these are the people who might understand and lean into this quite a bit. And lastly, the US to Philippines corridor also is a big remote worker corridor as well. There are a lot of people sitting in the Philippines who are receiving money for work they've done, and they're receiving this money from the US. So what we want to do is make sure that these guys can, or these people can basically receive the money every month, no fuss, and they can, once they receive it, they can also cash it out using some exchange or some cash out mechanism, which we're also integrating locally. So we're starting there, and this is going to be the test ground for what do we want to do, what features are people responding well to, really listening to the customers rather than. So we've had our say, right? Everything I've been saying on this space, these are ideas that we are excited about, man. We believe in everything I'm saying, but we really need to see what customers believe. The proof is in the pudding, and we really won't know whether any of the stuff that we have in our heads holds true until we release. So the Philippines and the first version of the app is all about getting some actual validation and some actual feedback from the folks who are actually going to use it.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess, yeah, on your point, since everything so far, it's, I guess, your ideation and what you guys believe that where the demand is at. Yeah, we definitely hope for that to be reality. And how are you working to make market and target this group of people you're talking about, the remote workers, the crypto native Philippines and people in the US where they would be willing to carry out such swaps and transfer. Yeah, how are you targeting?
Yeah, Anthony, it comes down to talking to a lot of people in crypto lingo. People usually say building community. So we're trying to build community. We're trying to talk to people who have this use case, and we're trying to understand their problems. It's not just yet. And I wouldn't even say we're looking for crypto natives, because the whole point is to make it so
Yeah.
that you don't have to be crypto native at all. So I think what we're looking for really is people who have to do this money transfer on a regular basis, people who are looking for some sort of stable yield. To, let's say you're receiving $2,000 a month, right? You want to keep 1,000 earning yield, and the other 1,000 you need to buy groceries with and live a life. So you cash that out, you have that option, and then the rest you leave it earning interest, or you can buy an asset or two and you can just leave it there. So we want to enable that for this corridor and see how well it's received or what we can do better, and then scale from there, or iterate and find out what more we should do, or how much better we need to be to actually reach a lot more people.
Okay, understand. So currently it's more like just organic outreach, building community from ground up. Because
Oh yeah,
yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. Because let's say for, I guess, in Singapore, where I'm at, for fintech companies tackling the remittance segment, what they do is they, like, for marketing wise, they put physical booths at places where I guess this demographic or of people frequent, and they market their product directly to them on the spot and get them to sign up for an account and get things going from there. So I was just wondering if is there anything of that sort going for WinApp's marketing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Anthony. I think even when I was in Singapore 1.5 weeks ago at Token, which is one of the big crypto conferences in Asia,
Yes.
there was like so much presence of people and so much energy, face-to-face energy, that it was very inspiring to see. And wouldn't rule out like on-ground activation and promotion kind of thing. I think we want to stay clear of is artificial growth or artificially creating a user base that's here for a token or like the $5 off or something that is very artificial and just doesn't add value to the user's life really in the long term. When you think about it, like what you're gonna do with $5 like extra in your pocket, right? It won't make a real difference. And then for us, we're basically just wasting money with vanity metrics. So that's what we want to avoid. What we want to do on a high level is meet people who really want to have money moving between this corridor, and they really want to try something new. The solution that we're building, which offers yield as well as trading and some new options of making your money more productive, this is something that they actually want to use and actually find useful. Those are our crowd. That is our crowd. And we want to do everything and anything to reach them and them only. And if that takes time, if that takes some getting to know one another, we have all the time in the world, like so to speak. So we want to do that, do exactly that. We want to take it slow. We want to talk to people. We want to learn from them. And we want to correct course. Like we want to see what's going good, what's going bad, and then take it from there. Very much take things one step at a time.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned not for token airdrops or $5 off, because I guess that's how many of these products actually in crypto as well. How they get their initial traction. They will announce like they would have a token in the future, and then people would just start using that the protocol purely just to farm the tokens.
Yeah, and Anthony, I'm no stranger to that. Pathao's business, Pathao's one of the biggest parts of our business was ride sharing. And I guess the easiest way to explain this is you guys have used Uber probably, right? Or use Uber or Grab or something like that. And in ride sharing, it's called burn baby burn. Like you do the $5 discount and then the $10 discount and then the morning commute and the rush hour. And then, hey, you're doing ride sharing. Would you like to order food? Here's $5 more or $10 more. And 2017, 16, we saw this. We saw the burn. And at the end of the day, these users as well as the companies, I don't think in hindsight any of them really view this as a very meaningful part of company building. It's something we are not, that's not a strategy for us this time.
Yeah, if the product is good, it will stick. It won't be because of extra discounts compared to another application. But yeah, thanks for sharing that from your previous experience as well. Yeah, I guess next question I have is why Polygon compared to, let's say, I understand it's low cost, but let's say compared to other L2s or other chains.
Do you mean why we are choosing to build on Polygon, or do you mean Polygon itself?
I guess why the former? Why are you choosing to build on Polygon? Sorry, I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah, no worries. Polygon itself, right? It has a very good development community around it as well. The ecosystem is very vibrant. So if you look at other L2s, there are definitely good solutions out there. And I'm not saying that we're absolutely adamant on Polygon, but what we saw is, okay, this is a community where, or this is an ecosystem where a lot of other things are being built. And if we get stuck on anything or if there's some major problem, there's actually a large swath of people compared to other L2s where this thing is more likely to get resolved and there's a lot of improvements that are coming. And we think Polygon is going to be one of the major L2s. And yeah, we're taking this bet because we really believe in this platform, really, because the activity that's going on, the teams that are in place. In fact, like even I was mentioning Token. So during Token, there are all of these side events where people got together, they got to learn about products that haven't even been shipped. And I had a chance to visit one of the side events with Polygon, and it's just great to see all the different products that they have lined up. There's a different team for all of these: Polygon ID and Polygon. I don't know how much I can share at this point because those guys, I think they haven't announced anything yet, but these guys have a lot of work going on behind the scenes. And I think this is, if you were in 2010 and you were choosing between, I don't know, or even 2014 and you were choosing between an Android, a Huawei App Store, a Samsung Galaxy Store, and the Apple App Store, some people really understood which ones would be the winners. And even though the Galaxy Store is still around and the Huawei App Store is still around, majority of the activity and developer interest are really around two platforms or two app stores, really. That's just an analogy, but we in Inside believe in the team behind Polygon and the improvements that they're bringing to the ecosystem, as well as the developers who are working on the ecosystem even outside of the core Polygon team.
Yeah, great. Thanks for answering that. And yeah, we also do see, personally, I also do see Polygon being quite a strong contender since, let's say, Meta, Stripe, Starbucks, and Robinhood all chose Polygon as their first integration partner to build Web3 experiences for with their apps and whatever services they have. So, indeed, yeah, they are a strong team and a good one to put our bets on. And yeah, other than that, do you have any plans to go to other chains?
So this is something I don't know yet. We've discussed it, but it's not something we have decided on yet. So the immediate focus, like I said, is going to market and talking to users and getting some validation. But longer term, let's say a year or a year and a half from now, we do think so let me frame it this way. We want to be in a place where people don't really have to think about what chain it is on or what seed phrase it is. Like, the technical details should not come during the day to day. However, they should be able to move their money as freely as possible, right? That's a core part of our mission. And so to serve that part of the mission, we do have to consider integrating this chain or that chain or the popular chains that people can actually move their money from and to. To summarize, like Anthony, in the future, we don't view this as something we're not doing. Like, we probably have to do this, integrate other chains, but the timeline is not fixed yet.
Yeah, understand. Yeah, just curious anyways. And
Yeah, good question.
definitely establish on one chain first, then
Exactly.
slowly move on to where there is demand.
Exactly.
And yeah, and yeah, it might not be a good question, but what's the reasoning behind only using USDC compared to other stablecoins or any other?
No, that's a good question. Especially people from BlueJ, you guys are making something very important for this part of the world. Yeah, so stablecoin wise, we chose USDC because it's one-to-one backed, and we view it as one of the more secure stablecoins out there. We obviously, everyone in the ecosystem are very aware what an unstable stablecoin, how much disruption that can have towards an ecosystem. And as an early company, we want to create as little disturbance as possible. And so in short, USDC is, in our view, one of the more safer options out there. So that's one of the big reasons we're going with that. And then the other one is, like, why just one? Why not multiple ones? Keeping things simple as we launch, like not a lot of moving parts, because we have enough hypotheses to test anyway. We don't need another variable in the mix. So we're starting with USDC. We want to see how that goes. We believe that this is going to be stable, or this is probably the most stable option in the market today. And we want to try out USDC and then go and take it from there.
Yeah, understand. Great. And yeah, I guess I'm down to my last few questions. So for the floor, any of you have any questions for WinApp or BlueJ, you guys can just kindly request to speak at this point in time, and we'll bring you up later on as I go through the rest of the questions. And yeah, you mentioned earlier on that WinApp, you guys already closed off the first group of beta testers for the upcoming 45 days. I guess for users who have not signed up for their beta tester roles or would wish to come in as the second batch, how would they go about doing so?
Yeah, that's a great question, Anthony. You're really knocking it out of the park today. Yeah, long story short, we have a wait list which you can sign up for by going to our website. That is super simple. It's wind.app. And once you go there, you'll see just a wait list form. Just put in your email there, and we plan to roll it out to more and more people over time. So just keep your details there. We will definitely reach you very soon. Within 45 days, just to be clear, we're going to launch our first version in 45 days, and that's going to roughly target a few hundred users, like probably like not more than 200, probably less than that. And so we want to learn from those users and then take it to more people. So for context, we have quite a few, more than a couple of hundred. So we want to just serve some users first and then bring the experience way up and then serve more users. To answer your question, just head over to our website. There's a wait list. Join that, and we will get in touch very soon.
Great. Yeah, that's very important, I guess, for everyone here who's interested to get on board ASAP. Understand that the first batch is already closed, but yeah, second batch isn't too late. And yeah, I guess other than that, for Win app, I understand you won't be using tokens as an incentive to bring people on, but are there plans down the road for there to be a token for some form of decentralized governance or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so we have thought of the idea of how to give community governance, or how to make community governance more meaningful, and how that works at Wind, both in the near term as well as medium to long term. At this point in time, I don't have any meaningful updates to share, but we are thinking about this, and hopefully after we find our feet and find our people and find our true purpose and true product, we'll get to some of these important questions down the road.
Yeah, great. And I guess other than that, for yourself, where do you see crypto going in the next 1 to 2 years?
Yeah.
Especially for within Southeast Asia region, like operating in Philippines area. I would expect that you would be looking to branch out to the other parts of Asia as well, much like us.
Yeah, no, I think I'm super bullish on Asia for sure. I think a couple of things are happening. One, I'm not a day-to-day price monitoring kind of person at the moment, and that's not like a super noble thing that I'm doing. It's just very depressing to look at price charts these days. And now is the time to build for crypto. So we're going to see a very different crowd stick around to crypto over the next 1 or 2 years. These are the builders, not the traders. These are the people who want to create something meaningful and lasting. So that's definitely a good vibe to be around. And so I definitely sense that in the community. There's not a lot of, how should I say it? It's like not a lot of scammy activity going around at all. So that's good. In terms of Southeast Asia specifically, I think before I get to that, I think what I should say is for the last couple of decades, innovation in technology or software specifically, hardware to a large extent, the epicenter was Silicon Valley, right? Silicon Valley is where the world's most valuable companies were born out of, and the place where a lot of the things that we are using, even on this call, the Twitter and the iPhone and everything, it came from there. I think DeFi and crypto, it's going to be slightly different, where it's not going to be that location specific. And I think it's, to be very blunt, I think Asia will, for this time around, for the next 5 to 10 years, have a big role to play in creating this ecosystem specifically. Now, why do I say that? I think a lot of the builders are out here, and because of the nature of crypto, where you can, it's a bit more meritocratic, and the sense that, okay, if you can actually build a real world use case for crypto, it doesn't really matter where you are. It's on the blockchain, it's on the internet, it's all of that. So long story short, I believe there are a lot of talented builders in Asia this time around, and they are thinking about a lot of different use cases. I don't think a lot of them have played out yet. We are in that bucket as well. If we can create something, if a lot of other people can create something in this part of the world that makes our lives better, that makes DeFi, that gives DeFi a few more use cases to talk about, and ultimately makes it more useful for everybody, then that's the future that I would love to be a part of. Personally, I'm super bullish on this part of the world, this part of Asia. And personally, I think there's never been a better time to build, specifically because there's not a lot of noise in the market about prices or market caps or what have you. So long story short, that's my view over the next couple of years or however long this takes.
Yeah, I guess same. We resonate with you on that as well. We are really focused on Southeast Asia, making sure that crypto goes beyond speculative investments and just inflationary token with high APYs, moving more towards, like you mentioned, real world use cases of crypto where we leverage blockchain technology and let's say for in our case stablecoins. Simply put, it's just faster, cheaper than existing payment methods through traditional fintech, remittance apps. So that's definitely where we are working towards as well, and hopefully, we'll get to do something together on that front.
Looking forward
soon.
to that. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, I guess that's about it for me in terms of questions. For once again, for the crowd, if any of you have any questions for WinApp or BlueJ, kindly just request to speak. Or if you are a bit shy, you can always press the tweet button at the bottom right hand corner, and yeah, we'll answer you promptly. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I think we've been speaking for the last 60 minutes. I think people have a pretty good idea about what we're talking about so
yeah.
far. Yeah, but also very excited for the stablecoin initiative that you guys are taking for Asia as well. And very excited for your launch. I notice
Yeah,
you guys are also in the launch mode. So
yeah,
it's a very exciting time.
indeed. And yeah, just to before we end
Yeah.
this off, once again, yeah, go check out WinApp and Win.app and sign up to be a beta tester for the next batch before, once when they start. And for BlueJ, do go over to our testnet at testnet.bluej.finance, and you can also get yourself some Blue allocations. And to learn a bit more about token launch, you can check out our Medium page as well. But yeah, thanks a lot, Fahad from WinApp, for your time and hour. And I hope you already had dinner, if not done as well.
Anthony, it's been a pleasure, and I'm so excited for what both of us are building. It's going to be a very interesting journey. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for having us on. I truly appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you again in person very soon. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Fahad, and have a great evening. And to everyone else, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.